Southeast Asia's fastest growing economy last year.
Can you believe it? Right now, a quiet yet powerful economic transformation is sweeping across Asia. The surprising protagonist? The Philippines. By 2025, they might just be orchestrating the biggest comeback on the global economic stage.
The country's economic growth outlook to become the second fastest growing economy in the Asia Pacific after India and alongside Vietnam.
This country, which everyone has been sleeping on, is suddenly making some serious moves. For decades, the Philippines was an overlooked island nation, barely discussed in global economic circles. But this country, once perceived as struggling, is now emerging as a silent force, quietly commanding attention. Why is this happening now? What's truly behind this quiet ascent that no one seems to be talking about? To uncover the truth, we'll dive deep into key areas like economic growth and investment, industry and the China Plus One strategy, its vibrant population and digital economy, urban life and the middle class, and finally, its politics and governance.
Philippine economy will still be among the fastest growing in the region. The economic growth of the Philippines for 2024 revised upward. The full-year GDP growth for the year is now at 5.7% from 5.6%.
The Philippines isn't just growing, it's a rocket ship in Southeast Asia. While global economies crumbled under war, inflation, and broken supply chains, the Philippines stood tall, unbelievably resilient.
The Manila-headquartered lender sees GDP growth this year to accelerate from 2024's 5.7% to 6%. Now at 6%, that's the fastest, next only to Vietnam's 6.6% and Cambodia's 6.1%.
The 7.6% expansion in Philippine GDP in the third quarter.
In 2022, a mind-blowing plus 7.6% GDP growth, a powerful roaring comeback. In 2023, still strong at plus 5.5%, accelerating to plus 5.9% in the third quarter. They're blowing past neighbors like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand.
Foreign direct investments into the Philippines hit $826 million in December. This figure, while representing a nearly 30% jump year-on-year, was lower than the $1 billion recorded in November.
This isn't a fluke. The Asian Development Bank forecasts the Philippines and Vietnam will be the region's fastest in 2024 and 2025, topping 6% annually. But here's the twist. When it comes to foreign direct investment, or FDI, it's a more complex story. In 2022, their net FDI was $9.2 billion, smaller than Indonesia or Vietnam. They've lagged in greenfield investments, building new factories from scratch. But the tide is turning. The government's bold moves in 2022 to 2023, liberalizing foreign investment laws, cutting red tape, offering tax incentives, are paying off big time.
A group of manufacturers expects the Philippine economy to further improve in the latter part of the year. The Federation of Philippine Industry sees the GDP growth sustained in 2023 as conditions improve among local industries. The Philippine economy grew at a better than expected 6.4% in the first quarter.
For years, the Philippines was known for its service sector, call centers, BPO, 60% of their GDP. But look at Vietnam or Malaysia. They built manufacturing giants. The Philippines was lagging, but leaders saw this gap. They knew a nation couldn't thrive on services alone. Their 2023 Inclusive Innovation Industrial Strategy is a blueprint for change, strengthening manufacturing, spreading industries across regions, adding more value. Electronics, semiconductors, automotive, these are their new battlegrounds. They're luring foreign investment with powerful incentives, special economic zones. In 2023, approved manufacturing FDI hit $1.9 billion. A clear signal. This isn't just talk, it's steel and concrete.
The Philippines hopes to attract high-value foreign direct investments, and it's looking to countries like China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong for that. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority, together with the Trade Department, as well as the Philippine Trade and Investment Center, PTIC, in Guangzhou, recently concluded a high-level investment mission in Shenzhen and Guangzhou.
But here's the game changer. The Philippines is becoming the ultimate China Plus One destination. As global giants shift production from China, the Philippines is the prime alternative. Young, cost-effective, English proficient. They're a magnet for electronics, automotive parts, So, who's lining up to invest in this rising star? China. Their presence is exploding.
Chinese energy companies have responded positively during the roundtable discussion with the Department of Energy or DOE during President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s state visit in China. The Energy Department said 9 Chinese energy companies pledged an investment amounting to $13.76 billion or 780 billion pesos for the development of renewable sources of energy in the Philippines.
22% of foreign investment, diversifying into everything: electronics, telecom, medical devices, manufacturing transfers. They're accelerating here. This isn't just money, it's a strategic footprint.
The Philippine Trade Department joins forces with the U.S. to boost Manila's semiconductor industry.
The U.S. will soon be programming specific funding allocations for the Philippines under its Creating Helpful Incentives to Produce Semiconductors, or CHIPS Act.
In recent years, U.S. investment in the Philippines has increasingly focused on high-tech industries, digital infrastructure, and semiconductors. Initiatives like Texas Instruments expansion, Google's undersea cable projects, and KKR's telecom investments are part of this trend. Through economic policies such as the CHIPS Act and bilateral working groups, the U.S. is strengthening supply chain resilience in partnership with the Philippines.
Thanks, Stanley. Now, visiting Japanese businessmen express interest on investing in the Philippines. Ken Kobayashi of the Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry says Manila's stable and high-level economic growth have attracted Japanese investors.
Japan, the Philippines' steadfast largest investor. Electronics, auto components, precision machinery, they're everywhere. Recent commitments, $430 million from NIDEC for robotics, dividend for advanced semiconductors. This isn't just investment, it's a decades-long commitment forged in shared history and mutual growth.
The Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA released the report today for January inflation, which climbs at 8.7%. The headline inflation was higher than the 8.1% reported last December 2022.
But let's be real, the Philippines' journey isn't a fairy tale. Urban living costs, especially in Manila, are soaring. Mercer's 2024 survey puts Manila high on the list for expat costs. Rents, cars, imported food, they hit hard. Inflation spiked to plus 8.7% in 2022. It squeezed wallets hard.
Consumer giant Universal Robina warns it may have to raise prices even though consumer spending has remained resilient in the face of elevated inflation. URC grew revenues 11% year-on-year in the first quarter.
They are the powerhouse driving consumption. Private consumption makes up a staggering 70% of GDP. Their digital literacy is off the charts.
GCash parent firm Mint is representing Philippines, Inc. in the annual World Economic Forum Summit in Davos, Switzerland.
Mobile wallet GCash reports transactions spiked 700% in May as Filipinos turned to e-commerce during the coronavirus lockdown.
E-commerce platforms like Lazada and Shopee, massive. Mobile wallets like GCash, millions use them daily. Digital payments soared 5,000% during the pandemic. Malls are buzzing, car sales are hitting records. This isn't just spending, it's an economic engine roaring to life.
Getting some of what you needed with a massive government help. And for this, I thank my predecessor for the courage of his hard decisions. But there is a way to put more means and choices in your hands. I trust the Filipino.
Now, let's talk politics. Generally domestically stable, but regionally exposed to ongoing tensions in the South China Sea with China. No major coups, peaceful transitions. The 2022 Marcos administration focus on economic growth. Investors feel secure, but the shadows remain. Corruption. Transparency International still ranks them lower than global average. Shady bidding. Power in the hands of a few. It's a stubborn obstacle.
The 2018 Ease of Doing Business law was meant to attract more investors and encourage entrepreneurship.
Policy consistency, another hurdle. Past governments surprised businesses with sudden rule changes. But here's the fight back. Reforms in 2022 liberalized foreign investment. They're cutting red tape, digitalizing everything. Fitch reaffirmed their BBB investment grade rating with a stable outlook. The macroeconomy, solid. The political foundation, stable. They're tackling these issues head on. This isn't just talk, it's a battle for trust.
The operator of the Philippines' electricity market says that the recent power outages in Luzon were not caused by a lack of generating capacity, but by maintenance issues.
Despite some remaining structural issues, logistics, power shortages, the government is committed. This isn't just a promise, it's a strategic imperative for their future, and their efforts are showing results.
The Commission on Population and Development, or CPD, announced the latest population figure, recording a total of 109.4 million in 2020.
Now for the true secret weapon, their youth, a massive demographic dividend. Median age, just 25.7 years. Young, dynamic. For decades, their workforce will just keep growing. This population boom isn't just numbers, it's an economic tidal wave. This young generation isn't just working, they're innovating, fueling a thriving entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem. The 2019 Innovative Startup Act kicked things off, and now, unicorns like Mint, powering GCash. Kumu, a popular video social media app, this is their startup renaissance.
Imagine investing in stocks, mutual funds, insurance, and more using just your e-wallet. All that for as little as 50 pesos initial or even succeeding investments. These days, Filipinos have access to more sophisticated investment instruments and opportunities.
While it's been a slower burn than some neighbors due to infrastructure hurdles, FinTech, e-commerce, health tech, ed tech, SaaS are exploding. Their massive digital consumer market is the fuel. The Philippines? It's hailed as Southeast Asia's fastest growing digital economy, a gold mine for startups.
China Sea, Philippine vessels this weekend under fire from Chinese Coast Guard water cannons. And here, a near collision between a Chinese Coast Guard ship and a Philippine resupply vessel. The Chief of Staff of the Philippine Armed Forces was on board. Long-standing maritime tensions between Beijing and Manila have ratcheted up in recent weeks.
To the Philippines now, where growing tensions with Beijing could see China's ambassador to the country expelled. It follows a new standoff in the disputed waters of the South China Sea.
Every superpower had its moment, that make or break window. For the Philippines, that window is wide open. The geopolitical timing is perfect. Tensions between the U.S. and China, the Philippines is the master balancer, a strategic powerhouse.
Philippine shares started the week higher despite stronger foreign selling.
Most Asian stocks rose on Monday amid optimism over high-level trade talks between China and the U.S., especially as weak Chinese inflation data underscored the impact of their trade war. Here at home, Philippine shares kicked off the week in the green despite 200 million pesos in net foreign selling.
Recent news, the Philippine Stock Exchange hit an all-time high. Foreign investors, a record $1.2 billion poured in. Global giants like Google, Amazon, SpaceX, they're announcing massive investments. They see it, the immense untapped potential.
Ratings giant S&P Global just upgraded the country's economic growth outlook to become the second fastest growing economy in the Asia Pacific after India and alongside Vietnam.
S&P Global predicts by 2035, the Philippines will be a global emerging market leader, driving Southeast Asia's growth for the next decade. This nation, once cruelly dubbed the Zic Man of Asia, is not just shedding that label, it's erasing it. With relentless reforms and a stable environment, the day will come. The day the Philippines truly secretly takes over Asia. So, the next time you hear about countries shaping our future, look at the Philippines, because sometimes the biggest players are quietly building something extraordinary. Do you think the Philippines is Asia's next superpower? Comment below. Want more global insights? Click the next video.